The Ride the Lightning podcast is one of the oldest EV, electrification, and Tesla podcasts that there is. It's way older than Tesla Daily with Rob. It's way older than Galley from Hyperchange. It is so old. It is so consistent. And Ryan does a fantastic job. He's great. I had a chance to meet him at TeslaCon in Florida, and this is a little bit of what our conversation looked like. So we're out here at TeslaCon in Florida with Ryan McCaffrey, Ride the Lightning podcast. You may have heard of it. It's a brand new podcast that just started 2015. So that's new and fresh and hot. So first of all, when did you get interested in Tesla?
You know, it's 2009. I was lucky enough, I owned my first dream car, which was a DeLorean. I was lucky enough to have one. Always loved it from Back to the Future, had one. And I just had somehow, in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is where I live and lived then, had heard about this Tesla Motors and that they were right in my backyard. They were right in the San Francisco area. And came to learn a little bit about them, and they had a showroom just in Menlo Park, which is a town right adjacent to Palo Alto, right in the heart of Silicon Valley. And just out of nowhere, dropped them a line and said, hey, could our DeLorean club do an event with you guys? Maybe you could just kind of show us the showroom, show us the Tesla Roadster. And they said, sure. And after that event, which we had a huge turnout for, more DeLoreans than I'd ever seen at any local club event, I just started learning more and more about the Tesla. I went all the way down the rabbit hole, and that was it for me. Once I just knew, you know, I can't afford this Roadster, but they're going to be making more cars, and I've got to get one of these things at some point. And that led me to starting the podcast in 2015 and getting my Model 3 Performance in 2018, and now here I am at TeslaCon Florida.
So, in 3 words, what was it like meeting Elon?
3 words. That's interesting. I would say just as expected.
Wow.
In the sense that he, you know, all you ever hear him talk about are his missions, are the quest for electrification in the car industry and the quest to make humanity a multiplanetary species through SpaceX. And that's what he talked about with me off mic. You know, that's who he is. He's really a focused guy. That's you can say a lot about him, but you can't take that from him. He is a very focused guy on these massive goals.
And were there any questions you wished you'd asked him after the fact?
I mean, I had a million questions lined up, but I was lucky. I got, I had an hour for my interview back on episode 200 of Ride the Lightning, and I covered pretty much all the ground I want to cover. I mean, today, there's a million Cybertruck questions I'd love to ask him, plenty of Roadster questions. We haven't heard about that car in a while, but you never know. Maybe he'll come back on again sometime.
Right, and for that matter, the enthusiasm surrounding Tesla is unique. Have you ever had this kind of enthusiasm about any company or any product of any kind?
Well, I'm fortunate.
Maybe the DeLorean a little bit.
The DeLorean community is wonderful, but of course I came into that, the company died in 1982, so, the Tesla is very different in the sense that the company is very much alive and thriving. Now, I'm lucky I work in the video game industry by day, and there's a lot of enthusiasm there too, whether you're a PlayStation guy, Xbox guy, Nintendo guy. So I kind of work in the enthusiast world by day, and so being in the Tesla space with Ride the Lightning and having my Model 3, it's a familiar feeling, and it's a good feeling. That's why we're here at an event with hundreds of other Tesla owners and enthusiasts, because we all love these cars and what this company's up to.
So where do you think Tesla's going to be in 2030?
Oh, by 2030, I think there's an extraordinarily great chance they'll be the number one car company in the world by whatever metric you want to use. Total cars produced, profits, market cap, all that stuff. Their goal is to get to 20 million cars per year by 2030. I have every confidence they'll get there. Tesla is not known for necessarily always hitting their timelines, but they do hit their goals. So let's say they're only at 10 million by
only
2030.
The biggest car company
that would
by
still
volume.
put them, basically right in the number one spot, or maybe number two. So they're on their way to just continuing to do amazing things in the car world.
And where do you think legacy auto is going to be in 2030?
Not all of them will survive. I mean, it's just math. Not everybody's going to make it. I mean, I've said on my podcast, and I say this with no malice, but I don't think like Dodge, Chrysler, they don't seem to have much of a plan to me for the future for electrification. And I know they just showed off a Charger prototype that made weird sounds, even though it was an electric car. Hey, I hope they build it. I hope they make electric muscle cars. That'd be great. But they seem to, even compared to the other big three in Detroit, GM and Ford, Chrysler seems pretty far behind where everybody else is. So it's not too late, but they're the ones I worry about the most. And yeah, there are going to be car companies that don't survive this inevitable transition to electric vehicles.
It is absolutely going to be a struggle, and especially when it comes to like Honda and Nissan, who like Stellantis, don't really seem to have a clear path forward. Do you think that when those companies come out with their EVs, do you think they're trying to reclaim market share from Tesla, or do you think they're just going to cannibalize themselves?
No, there's plenty of room for everybody in the EV space. I mean, inevitably Tesla's market share has to go down,
right?
Because when you started at basically almost 100%, there's nowhere to go but down. But there's room for everybody. I mean, we've seen that. Like, we've seen Elon talk about earlier this year that there were EV ads on the Super Bowl this year for obviously not Tesla because they don't do traditional advertising, and Tesla's orders spiked the next day. So it goes both ways. I mean, the normalization of Tesla and of electric vehicles will mean that the legacy automakers that do take electrification seriously and do offer good products. I mean, the Ford Mustang Mach-E seems like a good car. Yeah. The Volkswagen ID4 seems like a good car. It's just going to normalize it for people that, for whatever reason, can't or won't buy a Tesla. So it's inevitably it's good for everybody.
And I don't think your first car has to be the most compelling car you've ever built. Tesla's first car, not great. But these are, don't let perfect be the enemy of the good, I think. And there isn't, the Mach-E, it has a club. The e-Hummer, I assume it will have a club when they've got enough units out. Rivian fans are absolutely fanatical. Yeah. The Bolt is also an automobile.
Hey, it's a cheap, good EV. 250 miles of range for if you qualify for the tax credit, it's under 20 grand. So you can't beat that.
And in your state might have another incentive on top of it, and you might get a charger incentive too.
Exactly.
And it doesn't have to be the sexiest car ever built. It's all, as I would agree with you, part of the mission. So Ryan, I want to thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
It was super awesome to meet you in person.
Likewise.
Yeah, because
good to be here.
You hear these people, and then you get to meet them. So if you guys haven't been to one of these events, you gotta go. They're so much fun. All right, thank you. So there it is, and there you go. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, he knows his stuff. I would be, I'd like to. I can tell you with confidence that I have never listened to his podcast because I already know everything. Now, in doing so, I would be lying because, I mean, come on. Ryan McCaffrey's Ride the Lightning is a great podcast, and I could tell you to listen to it, but you already do. He's a great guy. We had a great time hanging out, on camera, off camera. He's a great resource, and you should follow him. So, what did I miss? What did I misunderstand? Leave me all your thoughts, your wisdom, your brilliance, your juicy goodness, all that good stuff. And stay tuned, stay juicy. And I simply cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots, on the flippity flop.